Hi guys, good afternoon. My name is Ryan Tuckwood and welcome to Ask Ryan, where you can ask me anything about sales, business or life. Today I've been asked about the Shark Tank journey. So what I'm going to do is break down how that all came about and how we were able to secure not one, not two, but three investors on the TV show Shark Tank. Okay, so the Shark Tank journey, it's been an interesting one. I think the first thing to understand is that Shark Tank is the equivalent of Dragon's Den if you're based over in the UK, or I think it's called that over in Canada as well, but Shark Tank over in America. And it came about in late 2017, so the co-founder of ISR Training, Jack, actually approached me and I remember him saying, "What do you think about going on Shark Tank?" And at that stage, we'd already been in business for 3 years. We'd coached, getting on for like 3,000 people, and we had a tremendous reputation. We were getting great results for people. And as somebody that's a little bit risk averse anyway, I'm like, why do we need to go on that TV show? Surely, if we were to do that and it failed, it could massively be detrimental to our reputation. And I'm a worst case scenario sort of thinker anyway. Long story short, Jack was able to sell me on the fact that it might be a good idea, and then I said, okay, well let's have a look at it, let's do it. And he goes, good, because we've already been accepted. So Jack wasn't asking me whether I wanted to go on. He'd already applied, and we'd already been accepted to go on. In the interim, during all that phase, I'm somebody that a lot of you know doesn't like the stage, didn't like public speaking, certainly wouldn't feel comfortable in this environment a couple of years ago. And we then got told we had a filming date, so we had to fly down to Sydney on March the 5th, which ironically is my wedding anniversary, to film the episode live. Building up to that for a few months, we had training sessions with producers, we had to have psychiatric testing and police checks, and all the way building up to it, I'm like, Jack, you do this is your arena, you're made for this. And that was kind of what happened. I just kind of let Jack take the reins with it. We planned it together. We figured out how we were going to pitch. We wrote the presentation. You only have 90 seconds to pitch your idea. And as we got closer, one of the producers did say to us, are you both going to go on? And at that stage, I'm still terrified of public speaking, let alone walking into a Shark Tank, where you can get ripped to pieces by 5 entrepreneurs that are very, very successful. So I lent on the fact that it was my wedding anniversary. I was supposed to be in Bali the day that it was filmed, and I always put that forward as a great excuse as to why I can't be there anyway. Let Jack go and do it himself. The real reason was I was absolutely terrified, and I didn't want to go in there. So maybe some of you might be able to relate to that. So we left it up to Jack to go in there. We planned for it. We prepared for it. And then it was only about a week or so before that I had my kind of mind changed by a few people that were suggesting that if both of us go in there, we double our chance of getting an investment, because they might take to one of us more than the other. And by then I'd left it too late. I couldn't do my police checks. I couldn't do my psychiatric testing. So it kind of worked out as a great situation for me that I didn't have to go in there. But what they said to us was, if you can stay out the back of the tank, which when I say out the back of the tank, let's put this into perspective for you. I'm there with my wife. I've got a brand new suit on, feeling pretty sharp, even though I wasn't planning on going on TV. And we're in this. How do you describe it? Like a school field, if you will, like a school playing ground at the film studios down in Sydney. And we're sitting in this gazebo tent on a plastic stool each, and it's hammering it down with rain. And they've taken Jack away now for filming. Jack's gone for about 40 minutes. And then all of a sudden, one of the runners comes up, and I understand why they're called runners now. She came up and she said, "Ryan, you're going in." I was like, "What do you mean? I haven't done my police checks. Like, I'm not supposed to go on." They said, "No, well, one of the Sharks has asked to see the 50% business partner, so they want you to now go on." So they started to usher me away from Alicia. I've left her in this gazebo now by herself, and they're putting a microphone on me. They're putting makeup on me as I'm running. And I don't, at that stage, my heart's just beating like, holy shit, I'm about to go on TV. I don't want to mess this up. It's obviously Jack's done something right. Don't mess this up. And then as we're going, they just explained to me, you're going to go in, we're going to open the doors, Jack's going to come out to you. There's a little holding room, probably about 20 feet long with a fake Shark Tank. You would have seen it on TV. and they said, you're going to go in there, Jack's going to explain to you what has happened so far. So they still haven't told me what's happened. I have no idea if we've got any offers, whether he's totally blown it, no idea. And they said, Jack's going to come and talk to you, and then at the end of that, you can go back in. You're both going to go in there together, and you're going to make a decision on what you'd like to do forward. At this stage, I'm just totally bricking it. But it's probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because I didn't have too long to think about it. And so then I ran into this building through this little side door. It's just every room is pitch black. It's like a big factory, if anything. But there's behind these curtains and booms, there's just random people everywhere. There would have been hundreds and hundreds of staff in there that you couldn't really see because it was quite dark. And then all of a sudden you turn around this corner and you see the corridor with the shark tank, which is pretty cool, because I'm like, oh, I recognize this from the TV show. And then they said, okay, so Jack's going to come out, get ready for filming. And they basically went 3, 2, 1. The doors opened up. I could kind of see in where the sharks were all sitting there. They're all smiling, looking pretty happy. Then Jack walks out with a big smile on his face. And he says to me, we got 4 offers. And I'm like, amazing. So what do you need me for? That's not what I said, but that's what in my head. I'm like, okay, so just accept one of them. You do your job. He said, so we've got 4 offers. What do you want to do? I said, who are the offers from? We obviously had an idea who we were leaning towards beforehand. I was also very aware that no company in the history of Shark Tank Australia had ever secured 3 investors or more in one hit. So we had that. We discussed the opportunity of getting 3 of them, but we also discussed that maybe if we were to push it too hard, we could actually blow this deal completely. So Jack and I probably spoke for maybe 15-20 minutes. And then they ushered us towards these doors, and the doors are bloody massive. And you're standing there waiting outside, and I'm trying to look all professional, trying not for my hands not to shake. So I'm pushing my hands together as hard as I can so that they don't actually shake in front of them. And then they went, cut. One of the sharks needs to go bathroom, and one of the sharks went to the bathroom, and that kind of put another 5 minutes of waiting time on it. And then they went, okay, action, we're ready to go again. The doors opened. And I just remember looking at Naomi, and Naomi was just beaming. She was just smiling, looking super happy, and it just made me feel really comfortable instantly. And then I just had to introduce myself. We pretty much went through the whole rigmarole again. So what is the vision for the business? Where do we see ourselves in 30, 60, 90 days, 3 years time? Where am I from? What's my background? And so on and so forth. So I kind of then had to start the wholesale again. And in my head, all I'm thinking is, just don't mess it up. I'm back in here for a reason. Jack's obviously smashed it, which he did. Just don't mess it up. And the time ticked on. Obviously, what you then saw on TV, there was negotiating back and forth. When it did first come back in with Jack, they explained that I feel like it was Glenn said in no uncertain terms that he's not going to collaborate with anybody. They didn't want to partner up, let alone all 3 of them. So we were like, are we gonna mess this up? I did reference once that we weren't there for their money. We were there for their guidance and mentorship, which Steve called me on. He said, don't tell us you're not here for our guidance and mentorship. You're talking to an investor. You're here for money. And that was a big learning curve for me, because we wanted both, but I thought it was a really cool thing to say that we're just there for their guidance and their brains. And then over time, it became pretty clear that there was a sort of a collaboration that was starting to form, and that became mine and Jack's real angle then, was to see if we could secure all 3 of them, because 3 of their brains is better than 1. The contacts, the leverage, the network that they have. And long story short, we were able to secure Steve, Andrew, and Glenn. We went from offering up 20% of the business to actually releasing 30% of the business all up. So we released 10% more than we were prepared to do. The reality is, you guys know how the game works. We released about 5% more than we were prepared to, and we actually secured all 3 of them, and they've been absolutely phenomenal for us for the last 2 years. So it's been a great journey, and they're still working with us on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. Going through COVID, Steve, Andrew, and Glenn have been there whenever we want to pick up the phone. Their guidance on helping us move into different markets, so over to the UK, over to America, has been phenomenal. So if anybody's thinking about going on the show, try and overcome your fear, because I think fear holds a lot of us back. If it wasn't for Jack, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
How long were you actually in the room for?
It would have been upwards of 2 hours in total that we were in there. So you would have seen, I think on TV it's 12 and a half, maybe 13 minutes. That's just massively condensed down. So it was a long old time in there. But ironically, the longer you're in there, the more kind of comfortable you get. You realise that, and I've realised this in business in general, that they're just real human beings. They've got genuine questions, and they want to find out about you. They've told us since, and for any of you that follow the Swiss show, the podcast that we're launching, we've got interviews from all of them on there. And Glenn, I think it was Glenn in particular, said that they were investing in people first. So they're buying into you, not necessarily the business. If you work, the business can fall into place around you. But if they can't work with you, then they're not even going to invest anyway. So it's been a fun journey. And
one last question: what was the 6 months to a year after being on the show?
Good question. So we filmed it in March 2018. It aired in June 2018, and then the investment actually came through in September. So from March to September, there was a 6-month due diligence period where they literally looked into my background, Jack's background, and they looked into the business, the training that we provide. For us, they saw huge economies to scale with the Swish Academy, our online training program, and what they wanted to do was prove that worked firstly. So I know that they spoke to some of our clients and they wanted to get feedback of the results that we'd have. And again, that was just a 6-month sales process to get them over the line and make sure that we weren't another statistics that just got an offer on the show but then fell over afterwards. So yeah, pretty proud of the fact that we were able to keep them on board and secure all 3. So guys, that was the Shark Tank story. I hope you enjoyed it, a little bit of behind the scenes. Obviously there's lots more that I can go into. If you do have any other questions, if you'd like to ask Ryan, please feel free to email in at admin@isrtraining.com.au. Just put in your subject line, Ask Ryan. Those questions will be filtered to me and I will answer them for you. Speak soon.